Join me, 48 Hours correspondent Erin Moriarty, on my podcast, My Life of Crime, as I take on true crime investigations like no other. This season, I'm looking into the labyrinth of crime and secrets within families. I'm cutting straight to the evidence and talking to the people directly involved, including investigators and the families of victims. Listen to My Life of Crime with Erin Moriarty wherever you get your podcasts.
This is Central Texas Living with Ann Harder.
Hello, everybody. Ann Harder here. Welcome to Central Texas Living, the podcast. Today, we're going to talk independent film and the annual Deep in the Heart Film Festival. One of its creators, Samuel Thomas, joins me. You and Lewis Hunter came up with what is a premier event in Central Texas now 5 years ago.
Yes.
Can you believe it's been 5 years?
It's crazy how much is from when we started to where we are now. It's crazy how much has come along.
Well, we had a chance to visit on this podcast last August, and I promise you, I went back and listened to it again because I don't remember anything about that conversation. I do know that your timing was different, and you had to go all virtual because of COVID.
Right. I think, speaking of remembering, I think it's something we all wanted to forget.
Yeah, if we only could.
Definitely. And it was a situation where, we tried so hard to go online or go in person. And honestly, every film festival that we're aware of had to go online for that stint of time. Only now are film festivals across the U.S. starting to open up again and go in person. And a lot of them are doing what we're actually doing this year, which is a hybrid situation. We're doing a combination. So we're doing in person for the actual, run of the festival. And then the week after that, we're going to have an online encore. So July 22nd through the 25th is in person. And then starting on the 25th through the 31st, everything's going to go online. And the great thing about that for us, we've actually wanted to do this since year one, is to have a way for the real film buffs, the people who get those VIP passes, to be able to actually see every single film. Because even when you come to the festival, everything's running on two theaters.
Right, you can't
physically do it.
Be two places at once.
Exactly. Wouldn't it be great?
Yeah.
But so since they can't, we have now created a situation where the VIP pass includes, so you come in person and then it includes the screenings online, as well as, if you say, oh, well, I only wanted to catch that screening online, you could also go and get that block as well.
Are you still going to have the opportunity to visit with
filmmakers?
The filmmakers,
yes.
And have the panel discussions
yes.
on acting and all that?
Yes. In fact, we have so many filmmakers who are just so happy to get back out and just be in the community again with other filmmakers, that we're actually getting a great response from filmmakers who are like, yes, we're definitely traveling. We're definitely coming in. So it's really cool. Obviously, we can't get all of the international ones in, just with all the restrictions.
Still
countries.
Traveling internationally
right.
is
it's
tricky.
Really tricky. But we'll see who can make it out from other parts of the world. But even those who can't, they're like, hey, I actually have, a representative, in the U.S. I'm going to make sure they get there. So it's pretty cool. So a rep from the film will be there for so many of our films coming in. So it's really cool. And yeah, you're correct. We have the panels are still happening. We have educational panels. We call them educational, but they're really fun. I mean, we have one that's going to be a fight and intimacy choreography.
Really? That's interesting.
Fascinating. And it's great to see just from an observer or for anyone who wants to actually kind of know what's happening in that scenario in a film, because it's not impromptu. It's made to look impromptu, but it's really crafted and decided upon and thought out as each shot comes along to make this, this fight look like it's just happening, or make this intimate scene look like it just happened. And those are really well planned out because, the actors that's their job. And in your job, you want to make sure you're safe, just like, anywhere you're working, you want to make sure you're in a safe environment. And so the same thing applies. And so we have a great panel coming up with people who that's what they do on set, is help ensure the safety of the cast and the crew, of course, to do these kinds of scenes. So we have a panel like that. We also have another one that's great for any budding filmmaker who wants to know how do you market your film just from start to finish? How do you even market it just to get that, say that that crowdfunding effort going? So we have this great panel about basically creating buzz from the moment you start your crowdfunding to the moment you get distribution, after you've sold your film off. So great panels on there, and then of course just all the parties and everything as well. So it's a great time for people to get out, to get back in the community, and get to see each other face to face again.
And it's a celebration, really,
Huge
of storytelling. It just occurred to me from the caveman days and the paintings that we found on the wall. There's something in the human mind and heart that wants to tell a story.
Yeah. Tell a story and tell it with the image, tell it with the visuals.
And so that's really what this film festival is all about.
Right.
How to encourage particularly Texas filmmakers, right?
Most definitely. A big part of what we want is to share Texas with incoming filmmakers and to facilitate filming in Texas, whether that be someone's passion project or whether that be someone's career. So we want to basically celebrate Texas film more than anything else. And that's, of course, the big reason why we're called Deep in the Heart, because that phrase is very clearly a Texas phrase.
So the cutoff has happened, I'm sure, for
submissions.
Right. And so, and you're even looking to next year, and letting people know, when your timeline is. So let's talk about that. Do you have a lot of submissions? What have you seen numbers wise? In filmmakers? So
film submissions just across the board took a drop for everyone.
Did they?
Even then, we still had an increase in submissions ourselves.
Oh.
So that's a good testament to the reach of our festival and what's happening there. So we're very excited about that. We're also looking forward to, when we do open up for submissions again for 2022, we know that everyone's starting to see, we're getting back in. People are getting more interested in putting their films out there, because a lot of, when the world shut down, they knew that film festivals shut down. So nobody wanted to go ahead and submit a film to something that they didn't know, was it even going to happen? How's it going to manifest itself? Was it going to be in person at all? Obviously not. It turned out to be not. But was there even going to be an online component? And, we knew we wanted to be true to the filmmakers last year who had submitted to us and show their films in the best capacity we did. And just a recap for last year's festival, we did go online, but we actually turned it around. We knew that if we couldn't bring the filmmakers to our Waco community, we decided to flip it and bring the Waco community to our filmmakers. So we did a big thing with the funding that came to us. Normally it's put on parties, it's put on the panels, it's put into really manifesting the physical in-person situation. And since we couldn't do that, we took that funding and actually flipped it around, and we actually went to local Waco vendors and said, we want to send a swag bag out to all of our filmmakers, like an actual personal hand, you can touch it, swag bag out to our filmmakers. And could we purchase something from you to put in the swag bag to send out? So instead of asking them to be a sponsor of us, we were like, we wanted to flip it and actually use that funding to do that. We were able to do that, and it was such a well-received gift to our filmmakers, and it was a great thing. I mean, you could see them on social media posting their swag bags and go, look what I got.
Look what I got.
Yeah. And it was just a great thing, because that's what we're all about. We're all about community. We're all about bringing the filmmaker community that we love together with the Waco community that we love.
I love it. It is a community, though. And so for the filmmakers, I know there are a lot of different festivals around. Right. We've heard of many of them. And yet it's the camaraderie of being together. And isn't that a big draw?
It really is. And in fact, we always call it's kind of like summer camp. For filmmaking adults, you go and you get to hang out with people and do events that and the funny thing is we're actually using that as kind of part of our marketing this year. We have this little armadillo mascot that people may have seen on social media. We're starting to put out there as well, and we decided that since we are going to be in July and it's summer, that we're going to do that whole summer camp theme with all of our marketing this year. So we're really leaning into that, having that fun time, and we're going to have, the badges will be there, and it's got the kind of the embroidery look on it. Be fun. And then you can put these little stickers on, like merit badges for attending, certain panels and attending certain, did you go see this film block? And so put that sticker on there. Did you go to this party and put that sticker on there? So it's going to be a blast.
So you still kind of focus on short films or not?
We have a huge focus on short films.
Yeah.
We do show features, but we do have a huge focus on short films. It's really weird how the Waco community just loves short films. We get so many, when people talk about their favorite film, we're expecting them to mention a feature, and they're like, oh, it was this one, and it was in this block, and it was great. So yeah, we're big on short films.
That's the shortest film you ever had?
Oh my gosh. Probably just under a minute.
That's pretty short.
It is. It is. And sometimes they're like little, one joke kind of things, but they're just so well done. It's like, yeah, that's getting in. And the funny thing about short films is when people think short films, if they're thinking like 20 minutes, they're actually thinking a little long. So most of the time, if you hit in the 10-minute or the 15-minute mark, that's the sweet spot, because it's a great story. You can still tell it well. And then you don't linger too long. You don't overstay your welcome. And people really enjoy that. But we have over 100 shorts as well. And we're also doing a cool music video block this year.
Right. You usually, or in the past, you've had a contest. Are you doing that as well?
Yeah, we actually are. So we're partnering with Keep Waco Loud. And so we do have a local contest happening right now. So they can go to the Keep Waco Loud website. They can also go to our website and then follow the link to there, but they can also go straight to the Keep Waco Loud website for the 254 music video. And people will submit in, and it doesn't have to be something you're creating now. Like it's not a contest where you run out and make a video, which you could if you want.
You've had like a 5-year window, haven't you?
We do have a 5. Yeah, on our submissions we have a 5-year window.
Okay.
But for this contest, we're actually asking, because music video is a little bit of a different beast. We're asking that it's something that you've got more in the last year.
Okay.
But the last music video contest we did, it was you do it in 2 months' time and send it in to us. So this is not that. This is, hey, you've got something, you made it in the last year, go ahead and submit it to us. And so I think the top 3 are going to be in this music video screening block. And it's going to be really cool because we're actually going to do it at our after party. So it's going to be at Classy Glass, and it's going to be with Keep Waco Loud, and it's going to be up on their screens. While we're having the party, we're going to get to hear the music and look at the screens and see the music video.
And they'll be voting then? That crowd?
Or not? Honestly, I don't know the details on that top of my head. But it is on the website, and yeah, the information is laid out there. Certainly the way the top 3 voting is, I think it's going to be a jury vote on that.
Sure. But
they're going to be a part of the music video. And then I do believe we always, with all of our blocks, we have the ability for the audience to vote, on their favorite kind of thing. So we'll make sure we have that for that scene as well.
What does it mean for a filmmaker to win? And what do they win? Is it like a winning in this short film, or is it a genre, or how do you do that? How do you categorize these films?
So we have actually a variety of types. We have what we call the Craftsman Awards, and then we also have the Genre Awards.
Okay.
Yeah, and so for each of those, we have this. We have a handcrafted, and the sponsor is going to kill me because I just blinked on the name. We have these handcrafted awards that we've had since year 1, and they're really beautiful. It's this metal Texas with our logo in the middle, and it's set on a stand. It's a unique award. It's very beautiful. And so with our Craftsman Awards, it's going to be something like Best Director for the short film. We also have, obviously we have feature film awards as well. So Best Director for a feature and Best Feature, best performance in a feature.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then short films, we have that as well. So there's the Craftsman Awards, but then we also have, Best Sci-Fi, Best Family, Best Horror, that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, your horror section has always been strong.
It really has, yeah.
Is it still the case? People still making these kinds of films?
Oh, yeah, totally, totally. Horror is an interesting genre because when it's done well, it actually tells us things about ourselves. It tells us, hey, here's the fears we have, and, helps us kind of, overcome it sometimes, but also just to say, I get it. This is something that's a fear we have. But Waco has a great horror community. They love them. They love them. And, it's so great to know that. And so we just love having the good ones come in and getting to share it with our community. And this is stuff, again, you're not going to see anywhere else. These are indie shorts that are horror related, or what we call also WTF related, which
right. We talked about that last time.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I mean, that does explain. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. If you look at that one going WTF.
Yeah,
then
pretty
there
much.
You go. Yeah. But also, everything. And then the other genres, obviously, I think we mentioned this before. They're mixtapes. We like to have a theme, and then we like to just mix genres in there. And the only two genres that never ever mix in, we don't put the family films in, and we don't put the horror films in with those general ones. These are stuff that, if there is anything in the block that, would be objectionable, we let people know up front.
That's a good idea.
Definitely.
What is your best advice to a filmmaker that's got, I got this story I want to tell?
Mm-hmm.
What, as a filmmaker yourself,
right?
What's the best advice you have?
Do it. Firstly, yes.
Yeah, just go ahead.
You just got to go ahead and do it, because, you're going to have an idea of what you want. And your execution, especially if you're first time, you're new, your execution is never going to match your vision. It just isn't. You're developing a skill set. But if you get out there and you do it, or maybe you have this idea and you're like, I'm not ready for that yet. I know I'm not my skill set isn't where it needs to be for that yet. Well, then go find another idea and just get out there and just start doing it, and listen to feedback, and don't be too precious with your work. Understand, when you're listening to feedback, some people are going to see it a certain way and some people are going to see it a different way. But if you get see the pattern of the criticism or the critique, you're going to start seeing, okay, so like I sent it to 5 people and they all had different ideas, but the one thing they all agreed on was X. Well, then listen to that, especially.
Take it to heart.
Take it to heart, and don't be too precious, and just realize that, it's not just about what's in your head, but it's about what came out and what got actually out there for people to see. And you got to get those two aligned some way, and again, if it's something you don't care about what other people say about your art, well, then that's your perspective. But if you want to get your art out there and have it be, taken for the way you want it to be taken for, but you want to be able to do more, then you just have to make certain choices about who you're listening to and who you're not, and what criticism you're taking, what you're not. But to better yourself, you make sure that people talking to you are people who kind of have a no as well.
You mentioned crowdfunding. It's expensive to do this.
Yeah.
And I guess for most people, it's just sort of not a hobby. I guess that's not the right term, but they probably do something else to put food on the table. Huh?
Completely. No, exactly. And that's where, again, where crowdfunding really comes in, because you basically are you're finding an audience who believes in you, and then they help fund what your passion is. And then at some point, you might get to a point where, you can start using your work to create the opportunities for new work. But until you get to that point, then it's basically people just putting their trust in you as a person, you as a creative.
Mm-hmm. So you've already judged the films for this upcoming film festival. Any come to mind that you go, oh man, people have got to see this?
We have a lot of great ones.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, I mainly do the programming for both features and shorts, but I also focus a lot on the features as well for me, and we have a great shorts programming team. But the features that are coming out, I'm actually really excited about this year. We have 2 great narratives, which are basically they're fictional stories, and then we have 3 docs that we're featuring. And one of them, our opening night, is going to be amazing. It's called Electric Jesus, and if anyone grew up in the 80s and 90s with contemporary Christian music, or even for me, contemporary Christian rock, this is just going to touch them. It's just an amazing film. It's done by love from a guy that's what he grew up in as well. Mm-hmm. But it's also a way to kind of laugh at yourself and go, that's funny how we were back then and how we were about things. But it's a great It's a great rom-com sort of travel movie. It's about this guy who he's the sound guy for this upcoming Christian rock band, and it's kind of their journey. And it's so well written and so well acted. It's got Kevin from The Office.
Oh, really?
He's a character in there. The actor's name is Brian Baumgartner.
Oh, yeah.
He's one of the leads in the movie. He does a great job. He's not the Kevin voice in there. He's people don't actually realize that. They don't realize when they see him, he doesn't actually talk like Kevin. But yeah, he's a lead in that.
Oh, wow.
That's a great one, and the director's coming out for that, and we've got that, and then we also have this documentary that I really like called Chasing Childhood. And it essentially is a great doc, and I think parents are going to love this, especially because it's about getting your kids back to where all the pressure we've put on them as adults to succeed at such a young age, how some of that can be detrimental, and how we might want to consider letting them be kids again. And it starts out with a woman who, her daughter, she did push her daughter, and it didn't turn out right. Her daughter had issues after that, being pushed so hard at a young age, or allowing her daughter to push herself even. And then so this woman who kind of had a bad situation happen was able to take a step back and look at herself and say, okay, I think I see what I did wrong there. And now she's helping others to just let their kids be kids. And it is such a great doc. I mean, it is just, and it's not just a documentary about like the problems that are there, but it's a documentary that's saying, here's some solutions we're finding. Here's the ways you can change that culture. And here's the ways you can make it better for your kids to where they can get in and be great adults and not have this sad pressure that's been put on them. So stuff like that is really good. But we have great shorts as well. I mean, the blocks are really, really strong this year. I mean, I probably say that every year, but I believe that every year. The blocks are really strong. We've got so many good stuff. We have just rich stories. It's like, I don't want to say anything about them because they're so short, you can really spoil things.
Don't do that.
I don't want any spoilers.
Don't do that. Now, you've given us a really good tease. Now, I know the film festival in the past has collaborated with other groups, with Baylor University and various theaters around town. You still doing that?
Yeah. In fact, for our screenplay readings, we're going to partner with the Brazos Theater of Waco. And that is going to be, I think we have 3 actual screenplay reading sessions separately, because I believe we've got about 25 to 30 official screenplay selections coming in. And it's just something to be able to have the screenwriters actually hear actors come in and give voice and personify their roles. And it's great feedback. And plus, it's just fun. It's just fun to have a screenplay reading where people the actors themselves, and they're local actors coming out of the theater. In fact,
I would love to. I'll have to call Beth Richards and see if she'll
really
let me
need
take part, because that would be so much fun to be a part of that. And as you say, it's something important for the screenwriter himself to hear. Now, this is what this might sound like, and we ought to do this. We ought to go ahead and shoot this.
Yeah. Not only that, it also lets them know, okay, well, that maybe didn't quite work, or that one really worked. Like that joke that I had written, hoping it would land, it landed.
It landed.
Yeah, definitely.
We've talked a lot about the filmmakers themselves. But let's talk about the attendees. Who do you expect to come, and do you need volunteers?
We definitely need volunteers. In fact, they can go to our website, deepintheheartff.com, and sign up on our volunteer page. It's a very easy way to do it. We've made it very easy to do. We would love volunteers. And the great thing about a volunteer is you come in, you volunteer for a certain amount of time, and you get the benefits of still getting to attend the festival. So as a volunteer, we want to reward you with that. Yeah. So it's a great way if you're like, I can give a couple hours, and then I can get all this, these great, blocks, film blocks and panels and parties, be able to do that as well. So yes, please, volunteers, we would love you. And then just, for the community at large, again, you can buy individual tickets for blocks, but you can also buy the VIP pass, which also gets you into everything. And the good thing about that is, I mean, it's one of the least expensive passes out there for a film festival of our stature. And we want to keep it, good for the people to be able to get out there and enjoy it. So you can go to our website and do that. And yeah, that'll get you everything, all the film blocks, all the panels, and all the parties.
Okay. And your website again, how can folks, I know you're on all the social media platforms too.
Yep, we're on all the social media platforms. You can find us at www.deepintheheartff, deepintheheart.com. And that's the same. Deep in the Heart FF is our Instagram and our Facebook. And then I believe on Twitter, it's DITHFF.
Oh, it's going to be fabulous. And I appreciate your time, Samuel.
Thanks for having me.
It's always fun to be with you because of the enthusiasm and the passion that you have for this film festival and for filmmaking in general. And be sure to give my best to Lewis as well.
Will do.
All
Thank you again for having me on. This is awesome.
Thank you. Central Texas Living is part of the Rogue Media Network family. Be sure to check out their other shows at roguemedianetwork.com. Please rate us 5 stars on iTunes and anywhere else you get your podcasts. Join us again soon for more Central Texas Living, the podcast.
Hello, and thank you for tuning into KNOW Waco. I am your host, Debbie, here to help you get in the know about Waco. So you may be asking yourself, why am I here? I'm here to be your tour guide through Waco. I'm here to tell you all the goings-on in and around Waco. I'm going to give you the 411 on what's happening, what's going on, and what events you should go to. This is your host, Debbie, signing off. Now that you know, go. Just go, Waco.
You are going on a run.
Are you building a new business while managing a family? Are you tired of trying to balance home and work and everything seems to be coming up short? Then there's a podcast made just for you. Baking Your Business from Scratch is where we create the perfect recipe for building a successful business while managing your home and family with love. Come join us and see for yourself.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.